Welcome along, everybody, to Imola, just down the road from Ferrari HQ, and they know a thing or two about pace, and pace today is king. It's qualifying day, and it's great to have you with us.
And here we are, the Imola Grand Prix with the Britain Motorsport hoping to score some more points. Obviously, coming off the Miami, the Albon, two performances, saw some points, not sure. It's been to the wall, making his own mistake with some forcing, but as we always say, it's another weekend we can improve onward, and that's all it matters. So we are doing the first run in qualifying on one, and we can see the performance chart we have brought it up today, but McLaren is now joined in with the top three, and here much more clearer comparative we have pulled away from the Alpine, but the top four are now almost packed together, and clearly Ferrari and Mercedes and the Red Sport are the main competitor for the Construction Championship, and we can't count out McLaren, but can still be able to do something. And of course, as you can see, we are doing something slightly different with our run, and we are running on a hard tyre. I won't be able to save or stop the tyre, that's why. So we are now top the line from the second run. We up the P8, not the P15. We still very safe, so that's positive. And of course, the notable one being out is Ollie Behrman and Tim Nath. Is that how to say Tim Nath? I don't know how to call his name, but Tim had made it new 2-2. Has to play to the for rookie, of course, and we're now in 2-2 third run. And it should be a fairly good one for us, particularly on stop tyre. We should be able to breeze through into 2-3 without any issue, but unfortunately it's the P4 for us, and Russell is in P9. Well, he has now improved, by the way, not in the stand anymore, which means he has improved, and we are doing a second run in qualifying 2 once again, and it seems good with our delta time is 6 10 faster, and it seems like we jumped up into P4. Fantastic. And the best shotter, Charles Leclerc, the championship leader, is now in P11. That is an unfortunate one for Charles Leclerc, because we obviously were doing a pre-judge, and in Miami we actually have Carlos and Max Verstappen being out in 2-2 time on that the Imola. Charles Leclerc, a former home hero for the Ferrari when he live for Ferrari, and as you can see we are behind Carlos for majority of one into the third run. We don't be a good slipstream, but where are we going to be placing ourselves at the top of the line? It's only P8, P9 side behind Russell. Not good, not good at all, and we are doing a second run now. This is where I want to improve a lot more and try to get a much more higher, and we can see we got a purple second one. That is the positive, but if we want to get pole, we need over 1.7 seconds. We're not going to get that. We caught the line. It's about 9-10 faster this time around, and it's P7, unfortunately. But we played ourselves ahead of the Italian rival, Timmy Tiello. So that's good. And the pole position is Gaffney along with Carlos, which means it's the 1-2 final lockdown for Ferrari at Imola, and at the P8 they finished starting P3. Let's see what Imola got in store for us.
Well, today's venue has a full name that is perhaps lesser known than its informal one. So today we're at Imola, or to give it its official title, the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari, named after their legacy. A beautiful tribute at a beautiful circuit. It's time, everyone, for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula One tracks as it's taken anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Pierre Gasly lines up on pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Piastri, Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Tsunoda, Albon, Antonelli, Russell, and Gabriel Bortoleto, Leclerc, Hadjar, Esteban Ocon, and Colapinto, Doohan, Tramnitz, Ollie Behrman, and Jack Crawford, Hulkenberg, Aaron, Maloney, and Liam Lawson rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And alongside me today, a man who I'm always pleased to see join me in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. Now, you're the racing driver in this partnership, so tell us about this racing driver. Put us in their shoes. How are they going to be feeling?
Well, you've got to be prepared, Crofty. Before you even step foot inside the car, you've got to know, you've got to have a pre-race game plan. You've watched videos before you get into the car of previous races gone by. You know where you have to place your car if X, Y, or Z happens in front of you or behind you. So having this clear game plan is absolutely essential before you get in the car.
And we're now getting ready to connect on to the Imola Grand Prix of tour with a positive qualifying of P7, which is good, and we've got Russell behind in P9. And at the end in P8, so not too bad. I think we're going to get ourselves in a bit of situation potentially like down in turn 1, but toward the big totem play, I think they are so happy with what they managed to achieve, which is 1-2 fun low locked out. But will they be able to maintain that result? And don't forget, we got another championship contender, Max Verstappen in P9. Don't count him out, and especially Charles Leclerc in a P11. Don't count him out either. It's a mistake. And he's the world champion indeed, so I think we can see Charles Leclerc, chomping down the field potentially. Who knows what Charles might be able to do, and we now line up to the with actually fantastic party. That's the first one of all. A brilliant party to hope that we can have a positive GP, and we are now waiting for the 5 red light, and now away we go with both Ferrari getting off a fantastic start, and it's Jack now going to be staying in the lead with Carlos Sainz behind the Piastri, and Piastri pulling on the outside, made the move on to Ferrari and on the outside. What a move from the Piastri, a double overtake down on turn 1 on the outside. That is a brilliant overtake from the Piastri, and Max Verstappen unfortunately had to fall back into P4, and of course Lando Norris in P5. Alex Albon made some progress up to P6 with a positive 1. Charles Leclerc, no improvement, still in P11 with Jordan Russell, still no improvement, P0, and Jack Doohan is back in with Francho, and it seems like Colapinto say the head of Jack Doohan, and Ollie Behrman in P16. We got Tim, who obviously had a pretty positive, 2-1, but unfortunately dropped down to P18, not a good one for Tim. But the Piastri now leading the Imola Grand Prix. Wow, I mean, genuinely, that was one of the fantastic overtake I've seen so far this season. What a move from the Piastri and Max Verstappen. Clearly want to try and do this similar thing if he can, but Jack is not happy about it, and we got the replay from the late start, and we on board with the Piastri on his overtake. We both Ferrari, that is a double overtake. Let me remind you, it's a double overtake as he pulled out on the outside, sending it on the outside. Wow, what a move, and another one from Alex Albon, how it got him up the P6, only one plate made up, but I think that's something we need to look on, because as he sends it on the inside of Lando, makes more contact. We have Yuki Tsunoda that has been forced to back out from this whole situation. That's one thing I like to point on, but Yuki Tsunoda can be, not with it, but unfortunately didn't really be able to do it, and Max Verstappen on the outside overtaking Carlos Sainz. It now fallen down the order a little bit, not too much, but it should be falling down the order, and Yuki Tsunoda, I think he had a moment with at DNA, but he's in P7 now, Albon P6, but clearly we know in our head, the pace is not going to be massive to those top 5, unfortunately. So we're going to try our best to stay in point, and hopefully that will be the case for us. We should double point to Russell is doing pretty good so far, sitting on at the LA, and of course, using Tsunoda in some way looked a little bit slower, but of course, not to the countdown, using Tsunoda, it's been a positive driver so far this season, let's be honest, and we try our best to stay on Lando, but unfortunately had a bit of a bad exit coming out the corner, which definitely topped it up a little bit, unfortunate, and I know it probably something to do with the setup of the car, but Albon thought the setup feels good, but when we watch it, it feels a little bit too slow. If we stay there, I think, but we got Carlos now making a move on Matt Verstappen, and the live timing, we got actually back to with Newton Tsunoda, and Carlos returned back into the podium spot, and actually now ahead of Newton Tsunoda. And to be honest, that the theme, isn't it? Majority of this season so far, it's always been Newton and actually having a battle. The big one with obviously in Miami, they've been trying back and forth, the same at Saudi Arabia. One of the racing where actually UT are pretty much matched evenly, and it's the fantastic to watch. And Matt Verstappen back ahead of Carlos in lap 4, and Jordan Russell has just overtaken Newton Tsunoda, and they have a lot of time to actually, specifically UT, who were behind actually at lot 2 seconds, and Russell overtaken UT. UT started in with a problem, I have no idea, but we got Albon, who have now a lot of times than Lando. We are in P6, but now we've got actually behind the actor John side by side now with Albon, but Albon stayed ahead of actually by staying on the outside, which gives us a bit of an advantage, and it paid off, Mrs. Joe. And we now got Russell, who's actually starting catching up really quickly, so I knew that we are now in a position where we're just not going to do pretty positive compare, defenders so much compared to try to attack the car ahead. We now have to rely on defending, which actually now right on up, and we have to try our best to keep him behind, but with that situation being the problem, that can give us a difficulty to deal with, which is to play lots position, because we now going to have Russell and actually make a move, and Lando has just overtaken Sire, and Russell is now coming through on Alex Albon. We have been double overtaken, unfortunately, and we got Charles Leclerc, who's has just overtaken Gabriel Borton lap 2. It's up in P9, made up to move up into lap 5, it's now in P9. We can definitely enjoy to stay here touching up for sure, but can we keep on Russell and actually? I hardly doubt it, but now in lap 8, we've got Gasly now making a move on the Piazza. He is now back in the lead after that fantastic overtake from the Piazza, and we've got Lando back ahead of Carlos. So, and the live timing, we have now got Leclerc have just overtaken Alex Albon. So clearly the pace is started falling away for Alex Albon. I don't know why it's falling away. We have checked all the data. He had no damage whatsoever. But somehow he should fall down the order. Maybe the performance here, but Russell is doing a fantastic work, staying there in P7. And we got Twitter Pito, who is behind Hazard, and we got Jack Dillon, the high franchise, and we're going to see them having a battle of course franchise with the Alpine Reserve driver now return back to William, and it's starting here with the William officially full season, and we now got Matt Verstappen chasing after the Piazza, and a fantastic work from Jack. We had now poured away over 1 shot, and that is a positive news for all of those Ferrari fans out there. Knowing we can definitely get some chance to win in the Imola, but like I mentioned, don't count out Matt Verstappen, and it's now making a move on the Piazza in lap 9. And we got Carlos, so we now try to get the move done on Lando Norris to get that P4, and we can definitely might see a potential battle, 4-way battle for the P2, and let Matt catching the car ahead. And lap 10, we got Lando in, and it's the fun win chase. It is the fun win chase. I'll take Lando got a fan wing damage, and here's a replay from Lando. Yes, it is Lando, not it, with the fan wing damage. This is how it got that is behind Carlos side, and he hit into the back of Carlos side. I can see the fan wing travel with them, and I think Carlos side played a little bit early or something that taught it Lando hitting the back of him, unfortunately landed that as well as the top Lando, not as potentially, and he might have to do 2 stop, but he should be able to do 1 stop. It is possible, it's doable, but what can Lando do now as he's now going to be behind all of those cars that is horrifically slow and on a more tire and dirty air? It's hell about Imola. What can Lando do? This is now a true test to see what Lando can do in that McLaren. We have been slotted in sometimes now, and we got Alex Albon trying to stay close using Tonona, but unfortunately, as you can see, that's a bit of a moment. We just don't have it anymore. The tyres started feeling bad, the pace started falling away, and that Hazard might be able to catch up and put the battle with us. It shouldn't be a theme for William Fountain putting motorsport whatsoever, but it doesn't matter. And Matt Verstappen has just overtaken Gasly. He is now in the lead. Like I said, don't count out Matt Verstappen whatsoever so far for him. And we've got Russell, who is now getting Charles Leclerc coming up to him, and we've got the replay of the overtake, which I forgot to put in, which Newton Tonona has just overtaken Alex Albon in lap 10. That was a bad broadcast from me, whoopty-daisy, but we now got Newton Tonona with the slaughter, Newton Tonona with the slaughter on the front right tyre, but now can we get out ahead of him? Yes, we will, getting there. Alex Albon, a fantastic stop from the team. That is the stop we needed the most. The Albon is now ahead of Newton Tonona. Bantam Red for mistake by putting the tyre on, so that is the positive one now. We need to try and get Liam Lawson and try to terminate gap to the car behind, which of course is Newton Tonona. We don't want to deal with them too much, but in lap 12, Matt is now pulled away. Pierre is back ahead of Pierre Gasly, and now these guys are pretty much ready to be fighting, and Matt Verstappen now got the clear air. He should be able to run away quite quickly, and Lando Norris on the outside of Damon only have made the move up into P16, and we got the last timing of Leclerc just overtaken George Russell. I think Russell is now thinking, I want to beat Leclerc to show me there. He had made a mistake replacing him with Leclerc, but I don't think it was a mistake, because Leclerc was the rather champion last season, and that was Russell year where he was out of Formula 1. So I think Russell got with a bitterness in him to try to prove something, but I'm going to let him do what he wants to do, because I know he can do what he can. And we now got Liam Lawson on now. We need to try and get the overtake done, try to get the inside line. I'm going to send it, yes, we will be sending it, and Newton Tonona had managed to follow me, which is not good. And we made another move again on Dane Manoni up into P18. Now that is the gap that I needed. I needed Dane Manoni holding back Newton Tonona, and Newton tried to find the space on the inside to get it done, and we're now on a pull out on. We should be able to get through quite quickly, and we actually have a very close moment. We managed to escape without damage, and Lando Norris couldn't do it. He tried it just like he did last time on Nico Hulkenberg, but couldn't get it done, unfortunately, staying behind. That just slowed down a little bit for Lando Norris, and we've got Albon getting on pull Albon. We now need to try to get something done, and we're on the inside, side by side. We're going to Alex Albon. Fantastic move that one. We knew we can do it. We had to flip. We had to pay. We know I can pull it off very easily. And Newton Tonona is now ahead of Damon only, and poor Albon is going to try and stay close to me. He had no Diallo. I had Diallo, which is positive for us, but now we can create gap and try to catch Hulkenberg quickly, which we had done as we far forward going toward the lap 14. Albon again made this that same move that they start to move on the same corner on halting bar, just like what we did to Albon and Lando Norris. Had just managed to move on Jack Crawford up into P14. We are closer to Lando than Lando was before, but he was pulling away, wasn't he? But now the gap is starting to shoot, but between Lando, the head of Jack Crawford, it's going to make my job harder, try to catch Lando Norris, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, it's a getting point I'm happy about that I knew McLaren was going to be so quick. The beginning of the season was the fluke that we finished ahead of McLaren, and we got Matt Verstappen now in the pit. The P3 stood up down the order, unfortunately. We got Gasly in, we got Charles Leclerc in, Russell stayed out, Gasly chose to retire, Matt have already chose to retire, Leclerc is now in. So I think Leclerc should be able to get himself join the fight for the win if Matt and Gasly somehow get stuck behind the traffic and Charles Leclerc to catch up. Who knows? I will now back on board with Albon, who couldn't look into making the same move yet. He done that 3 moves being done on the same corner on Jack Crawford. Either way, Jack Crawford joined in but did not want to stay behind him for too long. And we got Lando Norris now ahead of Charles Leclerc. Fantastic job from Lando, but the tyre officer more advantage to Charles Leclerc to Lando tyre. It's about 5 laps though. Charles is fresh, brand new tyre. So we're gonna see a whole lot of defending from Lando Norris potentially, but far forward again, coming up to lap 16. Alex Albon made another identical move on Tim, and that is 4 move on the same corner. Fantastic work from Alex Albon, and Yutin Tsunoda had to make a lot of time catching up because he was stuck behind for a while, hadn't he? But now about 2.8 seconds behind Albon. That's not the gap that I wanted more, but it's fine. And we've got Russell now behind Lando Norris, and Leclerc actually just overtaken Lando, by the way. So this is now where we can see Russell can catch Lando, get ahead of him, and try to get ahead of Charles Leclerc, which will put himself in P6, and that will be a massive point broaden for us. And I feel bad for Lando. He's having a bit of a slaughter, and Russell is now pulling up on the inside of Lando, really get it done. He looks like he might, and on the outside, he gets it done. Russell overtaking Lando Norris. Fantastic work from George Russell. He needs to get it done quickly as possible, and we got the replay of Charles Leclerc had overtaken Lando, which of course where Russell was coming out of the pit, was put him behind Lando. So that was the moment when Lando got overtaken of Charles Leclerc, but Russell is now ahead of Lando with a fantastic overtake. He's done what Lando did to Albon and Damon Only and Nick Hulkenberg. He gave him the taste of his own medicine. So fantastic work from Russell. That is P7. Exceptional, but will Lando get back ahead of Russell? No, he doesn't. He stays behind, which to put him in a very difficult position, because if he stays behind for too long, there's here and Russell pace it off the chart. Russell should be able to point away quite quickly, and Albon in P9, he maintained the consistency pace, which is fine. And we've got Alton, who I believe had defended against Jack Demon, or just overtaking him, and we've got Twitter P12 and P12 had John P11, and I forgot to mention Bortonetto is out of the Imola Grand Prix, and we've got Actielli had now made to move on. Pierre Gasly, the man who was on the leader on the pole position, had dropped to P5, while Carlos side in P2. Carlos side was on the flip side of Gasly, but now Carlos side to potentially try to get the chance for the victory, and we've got Lando now boxing next lap, put a new tyre on, which is going to be a hard tyre, and Yutin Tsunoda has boxed it. Interesting, but to be fair, Yutin Tsunoda was on double medium strategy, so he had to box again to take up that medium. He hard finish the race on the same tyre, well, but tyre, different tyre. Basically, what I'm trying to say, and Don Russell now caught on to Charles Leclerc, which is positive. The tyre differences between them both is obviously clearly different, and that is He's definitely not happy about that. I know it for sure. And we got the Piat and Pete. The two finish on the podium after that fantastic overtake. He is back in the same position, Mrs. Pete, unfortunately. But yeah, speaking of Newton Tanone, we don't want to carry on that. Newton Tanone not making 2 stops. He pitted at that same time at Albon, but we are doing 1 stop. So it's very interesting to see why Newton did what he did. Did he maybe got too much dirty, too much time wear? Who knows? And we got Charles Leclerc, who now going to have Russell is now breathing by on him, and Russell is now up into P6. Fantastic job, and Leclerc has lost the P7, but in lap 20, it might have been flipped back to Russell tried to defend, but couldn't keep it up, and it lost the place to Charles Leclerc. But now, can Russell get back ahead of him? Who knows? But we're now in lap 28. The line, no, we've gone quite far away, and Lando Norris has now caught up to Albon, who in fact it's now got Williams, both Williams protecting Albon, basically protecting Lando is quicker than any of us, but Albon is holding him back for as long. Williams tried to hold them back as long as they can, but they're in point contender, P9 and P10. That's a fantastic work from the Williams. So I can imagine they're going to try to defend it and obviously try to have Albon with the other distance so they can pull along with him, but they'll put Albon in a further miserable situation which he had to defend again. 3 times is going to be difficult, and Piat, I just noticed, dropping down the order. Oh, the Piat that got the oh no, oh, the Piat that from the beginning, fantastic overtake. Pete now, and it now going to fully down the order. That means we're going to move up the P7, and that give Williams a potential like the bit point story so far this season, which is P8 and P9, and Lando is now in P10. So P8, very unfortunate but very, very favourable for us. P7, Russell is now over 23 seconds behind from Russell. What the pace he's been on, but how John it's still clothing on the Alex Albon, and that means defensive work for Alex Albon is now on. Our priority is keeping those lead behind, which means we are now charging back every time we get approaching to the straight line. We're going to deploy everything, and how John actually had the moment of the overtaking opportunity to do it. It's Albon, of course, putting himself in a fantastic place and keeping him behind, and we're now on the straight line. Albon, deploying back, we'll try to stop Hadjar to make the move, and we got Lando Norris. It's on the outside of Franco Tullapito, and it seems like Tullapito can't defend it, unfortunately. And Lando is now up into P9. In lap 13, only 3 laps to go. We need to try and keep this position intact for us. And we got Carlos just overtaking leader. Carlos got the move on the leader. Max Verstappen has lost the play, and he's trapped behind the lap to tar, and I'm assuming that is Ollie Behrman. So Ollie Behrman had forced Max Verstappen to lose so much time. That is the big one for Carlos to now try and run away and try and get the victory for the Ferrari, but Max Verstappen, with not even his fault, he was the victim to the unfortunate moment with the lap to tar, and Russell in P6 pulling away 25 seconds. And we now got Hadjar going to lose the position, and we are now farther top than lap 31. And we now got Lando. Now it's side by side. Lando is now just defense again to Hadjar, and Hadjar tried to get the play back for himself, but it seems like that didn't last long. Lando Norris unfortunately had overtaken Hadjar. The reason I said unfortunately because he is a lot quicker than Alex Albon, and I don't want to lose the position to Lando Norris. But remember what I mentioned about the strategy, recharging battery, that now comes into bite me because Lando had just overtaken Alex Albon, and last time we got Carlos is now starting his final lap with P50 on his hand for sure. Max Verstappen in second place, at the other in third place, has just overtaken lap to car, and Jack in fourth, and Charles Leclerc after a fantastic comeback from P11 with a poor 20. He got himself up into P5. It's a fantastic one from Charles Leclerc. I can say that, and Russell in P6 that. It's a positive one. I'm happy with the result from George Russell. He made up for his mistake that he did in Miami, so that is a positive one for us. But unfortunately for Albon, he can't get Lando. We got the other, we deploy everything we got, which is not that quick enough. Our tyre is rolling out more than Lando. No, in fact, our tyre is approximately 65% wear on the back. Right, yeah, back right, but we're now on board the taller side, coming out the final corner with the fixly at his hand. The taller side is now ready to top the line to win the Imola with Max Verstappen ready to finish second. Unfortunately for his, moment with the lap to tar and at yellow ready to finish third. That is the Italian lean right there. I think there was another podium again, the Italian Grand Prix and Jack finished fourth, and Leclerc finishing fifth, and Russell finishing P6. But unfortunately, Lando had paused away from Alex Albon. But the race is not over. We still don't have jobs that could still get Alex Albon. We're going to try to defend it for as long as we can, but it seems like we might be able to stick to it and finish P8. That is the big point score, which means we've got more points over the McLaren, which is positive for us. We topped the line to finish P8. I mean, so I can play? No, we knew the paces weren't that good, but at least we finished in the point, and of course Russell finishing P6. It's a massive one for us, and of course fantastic job from Carlos Sainz.
Here's the checkered flag, and here's our race winner today. What a smooth operation it was for Carlos Sainz.
To come here and take victory as a team today on home soil was so important. You can see how much it means to them. The drivers there doing their part. The team's strategy was perfect as well. And the fans really embraced that. What a great atmosphere we had here today.
What a day it's been for Formula One, and what a day it's been for these three drivers. Time for the podium celebrations. Time for our drivers to celebrate. And it's Carlos Sainz who makes his way to the top step of the podium. What a day, what a victory.
Fantastic. I mean, honestly, the 1-2 fan well locked out, now locked that, 1-2 finish with Jack the finish in P4, Carlos died P2. I would expect it other way around, but it didn't go that way anyway. And Max Verstappen now got 7 points over Charles Leclerc and Ferrari. It now 2 points behind the Red Bull. We're going to see 3-way fight for the construction. I would love to see that, and I hope we see maybe 5-way fight in this Lava Championship, like of Leclerc, Matt, Gatlin. Carlos thought maybe Atiele, maybe Piat, maybe Lando. So 7, maybe more likely 4 realistically, maybe, we don't know. But during the end of the episode, I'll be now heading to Monaco, Grand Prix in the next one. So thanks for watching, please like and dislike my video, do my very appreciate it, and peace out.